If you need the water, check the beaches in the Carolinas. If you need the mountains, try the Appalachian Trail. If you need the redwood trees, gotta go to Yosemite. If you need me, 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 I'll be in Kansas City.
Welcome to Kansas City Limits Radio. We're in the studio today with Emma Jo. If you don't know everything about her, you're going to, or at least what she wants to share with you, all about her music, her new album coming out, and all the things that make her click. But before we get there, I'm Robert Bierce, your host. And J.E., how are you today?
Fantastic, Robert. Why don't you tell the fine folks listening about the people that are helping to support this show?
Let's do that, J.E. Let's do that. But I wanted to say hello to you. We got to make sure that, everyone knows you're here in the studio. It's not just the Robert Bierce Show.
Well, thank God.
Thank God. That guy talks too much. We do want to thank our
You've
sponsors.
You've got a face for radio, though.
I do.
Yes.
Good thing it's not visible.
Mm-hmm.
We want to thank everyone out there that's helping support the show. And we want to thank you for listening at home, podcast, radio, wherever you're walking. But first, we want to tell you about Kansas City RVs, voted 2023's favorite RV dealer in Kansas City by the Kansas City Star. Hallelujah. Service, you need it. They'll take care of you on your RVs. AMPR, Area Musicians Promotional Resource, a non-for-profit organization. We want to thank Black Moon Media, LLC. Photos, videos, magical souls, these Kansas City Limited executive producers can do it all for you. Open Mortgage, where better is possible. Residential mortgage rates are still cheaper than renting. Knuckleheads KC, a music joint, voted #1 music venue in Kansas City by the Kansas City Magazine. Check it out. Kansas City Limits TV and radio. We're a dual component sharing with you original music, spotlighting Kansas City's local musicians and much more. Soundworks Recording Studio in Blue Springs now for over 20 years, where Kansas City Limits radio is produced and recorded. S&S Printing, a commercial printing and design company. B4 Productions, creating commercials and videos. They'll bring your ideas to life. And finally, Midwest Music Foundation, giving local musicians the care they deserve. And now, welcome to Kansas City Limits Radio.
That was outstanding, Robert.
Thank
You're
you, sir.
really getting used to saying all that stuff.
I really am. I wake up in the morning and start saying it. Anyway.
Do you talk into the mirror?
I do.
Does that help you?
I do, and I trim my eyebrow.
I've heard that. It does. Well, Emma Jo, thank you so much for being here with us today. I am so glad that my connect, I will have to give a shout out to Jillian Risco.
Look at Jillian working her magic.
Yes, Jillian.
She's the connector.
She has been. She was wonderful on our program here. We've got to go out and see her several times, both with just by herself or with performing with Josephine.
She's a relentless pistol.
She is. She's performing all over. As are you. I see now on I'm a fan of yours. You saw I liked everything that you had out there. And so it was fortuitous that this came about.
Don't use big words on this.
We were able to get you in line due to somebody that had fallen out, and it worked out to your advantage and our advantage, thanks to Jillian. And it worked out even better because you have a new album coming out.
I do.
And that is going to be when?
November 10th.
And tell us the name of that album.
So the name is Girl Bandit.
Girl Bandit. Tell us about that album.
So Girl Bandit has been in the works for probably 2 years now. And it has been a back and forth from Nashville to Kansas City to Nashville to Kansas City. Really just something that has come together through. So first of all, I had to write some songs in Nashville. I wrote some songs here. Some songs I wrote by myself. Some songs I co-wrote. And then I recorded in Nashville, came back home, got all sorts of help from people here in town. I had Naomi Reed Photography do all the photos for the album.
Great
and
photos.
Yes.
Amazing photos, very
Yeah.
artistic, very cool. Carpenter Collective did all the design work for the album, and it looks so cool. I'm so excited. So
It's very
really
well laid out.
Yeah, it's kind of a Nashville and Kansas City effort
Cool.
put together. So it's really a piece of art. I'm so excited about it.
You should be. It looks really professional, and it looks beautiful, and it really just shows you glowing. You look like you're glowing in it.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I took a second picture because whatever they're doing there with your image off to the right, you know, whoever did that, kudos to that concept.
It's the photographer.
Yeah, good job,
Yeah,
good job.
nice.
It was
Nicely
done
done.
right there in the field. It was like I had never seen that before, but she had a special lens that she put on the camera. It was so cool.
Yeah, it made you take a second look, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
Just like 2 seconds. Everyone's going so fast on this planet. It made me take 2 seconds, you know, when I was just, wow, that's cool.
And I thought, well, gosh, that looks like it just has to be an album cover.
Yeah.
When I first saw the picture, I thought, okay, that looks like something I would pick up in the record store.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I saw, I guess, well, you sent me a couple of links, and then I went through and I got to watch quite a few of them. So you're releasing on vinyl,
Yes.
right? And you've had pre-sale out for how long, and how's that going?
So pre-sale has been out for a couple weeks now. It's going really well. I'd like to see even more, of course.
Let's buy it today.
Yeah, buy it today.
Well, tell them, how can they buy it today?
So you can go to my website, imajomusic.com, and everything that you need is there. You can also buy tickets to my album release concert here in Kansas City. It's at Knucklehead.
Knucklehead.
We know Knucklehead.
You know
Yes,
Knuckleheads. I
yes.
just heard you mention Knuckleheads.
Yes.
Yes.
That's great. So you're doing it there, the release party. You said November 2nd?
November 10th.
November 10th.
on the
10th.
saloon stage.
That's right.
So
And we have Timbers opening up. We have Lorna Kay's Country Club going to close out the night. She's going to do a little country party all night long. So we'll have a lot of fun.
So
Nice.
describe that to everyone when you're doing this. So will you have a full band
Yes.
performing these songs on your vinyl?
Yes. So we're actually going to do the full album front to back. So we're actually going to play the full album front to back along with some other tunes. I'm going to do some classic country covers. I'm going to do a lot of little party tunes. And so we're going to get you on the dance floor, but you're also going to get to hear the full album and including some songs that I have never played live before. So it's going to be
very
a
exciting.
good time.
Special time.
How often do you practice to put that all together?
We'll probably do a handful, like probably 4 or 5 rehearsals leading up to that.
Very
I have a
good.
band that I play with, guys that I play with pretty regularly, but I am actually going to bring in extra people for this record release because it's, I think, a pretty big deal.
Do you want to
Big deal for
announce
me.
any
Yeah,
of those
tell us about
guys?
those people.
So we're going to have horns. We're going to have a couple guys from the Back Alley Brass Band.
Okay.
And then I'm still looking for a cello player. I'm trying to bring in, as much as I can.
I know a
to
great
kind
cello
of,
player.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk offline.
Yes.
Yeah, because I just, I really want it to be special. I want it
Yeah.
to be special to me. I want it to be special to the people who have seen me play a lot before. I want it to be really different and feel very cool.
Because when you recorded the album, you recorded down in Nashville with
Yeah.
some session players, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, but you've got
Guns for hire.
you've
for those
got
folks who
both
don't know that.
venues that you play here with where you're just solo,
Mhm.
and then you'll do some with the band.
Yeah.
And on the album that you have, how many songs are on the album?
10 songs.
10 songs. And of those 10 songs, are they all with a band?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually the last song is kind of a solo piano tune, and I'm actually going to I'm gonna go ahead and announce this now.
Say it.
I hope it's
Say
gonna
it.
work out. I am going to try to play piano for
Oh.
that song.
All right. It's out of the bag. Now
I
you
don't
got to do
play
it.
piano, but I am learning piano, and I'm going to try to do it. So
That's great. Yeah, the clock is ticking.
I
Can we get a
know.
piano in this room real fast?
So that's going to be at the album release. You're going to play the
Yeah.
piano?
Yeah.
I'll be jammed.
Awesome.
it's special. It's a song that, really reminds me of my dad. My dad passed away in 2017, and I wrote this song called 12 Steps. 12 Steps is the last song on the album, but it's really the first step. The album is about getting out of bad situations. I was in a bad situation. I was in a bad marriage for a long time. And this album is really about finding a new life for yourself and finding the courage to walk out of situations that aren't good for you and into something that you create from nothing. So, 12 Steps is a song for the people who are still kind of in it. Kind of about alcohol. It's not really about alcohol if you don't want it to be about alcohol. But
I was going to ask you, is there a correlation there, the 12 steps of AA?
Yeah. So my dad was an alcoholic, and he was in recovery for 13 years, and I used to go with him to some of the open meetings at AA. And, even as a teenager, I would be sitting in the room kind of listening to all these stories. And
did you want to go, or he asked you to go?
Yeah, he wanted me to come with him to the open meeting so I could kind of see what it was about. And, especially at times when he was celebrating some, like a year
some sobriety.
or two. Yeah, some sobriety. And so he would be speaking or whatever. And so that was important for me to see. And being at AA meetings really was kind of eye-opening, and it felt like such a safe place. And listening to people talk about working the steps, I can't really relate to alcoholism as much, but I feel like everybody can relate to going through struggles and then, trying to find these steps to getting out.
It's the same. I mean, I don't, if you're drugs, food disorders, either way, all kinds of issues mentally and or, physically, it's all step program. And
Right.
in your case, a bad relationship and what have you. I mean, everything or loss, loss is also, a step. So good for you. And I'm glad your dad, got 13 years in before he passed. So
Yeah, me too.
good.
Okay. And I'm just glad that he invited you into that environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because some of the way that you end up acting as you are as an adult is completely contributed to what you saw as your parents tried to relate and heal and take care of things.
Yes.
And that's important.
Yeah.
Because, that means your dad wasn't a quitter.
Right.
And
he brought me into an environment of healing where I got to see all of those people who weren't quitters and who were really trying to make better lives for themselves.
Absolutely. Well, God bless him. That's cool.
Well, way to tell the story.
Yeah. Let's talk about walk. Is this about a time you had, no car or something? Or you're burning, you got to get your steps in? What's it about?
So I remember being in the writing room in Nashville with the late Craig Wilson, who was my producer and co-writer for the entire time that I was doing this album. And we were writing, we went into the room. We knew we were going to write a song. We didn't know necessarily what it was going to be about yet. And as it often did, the topic turned to my divorce. Because
damn
why not?
D's.
And, I started talking about how I had recently begun to open up on social media about my experiences. And that was a hard thing to do because being vulnerable is not really easy for anyone, I don't think, but
no one wants to tell you you're hurting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And to go on to social media where everything is supposed to be shiny and perfect and to admit to people, I'm struggling or I had this happen to me or whatever. So that was a big thing for me to open up. And when I did, I started getting messages from women who were saying things like, I think I might be in an abusive relationship, or I think I might be, how did you know when it was time to leave? How did you know? And they would ask me these questions and I was like, I'm not a therapist. I don't know if I should give a disclaimer here. But so I just started talking to them. And, one of the questions that they always had was, how did you get the courage to get out? And when did you know? And so I was telling Craig, my co-writer, this, and he said, well, what do you tell him? Can you just walk me through it? And I started telling him, well, here's what I tell him. And that's really the song. The song is me talking to a woman or a person who's in a situation that is, that they know really deep down is bad for them.
That's nasty and wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they know it. And that's usually how it is. Somewhere, if you're really, really honest with yourself, you know that you're in a situation you need to leave. And it's hard to tell even yourself the truth. But so
it's you know, and I don't even know how long your relationship was with this situation, but I'll tell you, people that are connected to memories and time and existence and passings and things have a hard time disconnecting from something toxic.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to start that all over.
Yeah.
And they're thinking if they can fix it, then all that can still be connected all lovely. The
Right.
rainbow can still be all in one piece. And you can't.
Yeah.
And you decided to walk.
You decided to walk.
Truck.
So I did. You know, and in the song, it's kind of funny. It tells the story about me talking to my mom, and she said, you know, you've tried enough. Like, it's okay. I kept getting hung up on, well, I'm a quitter, and maybe I'm going to be, you know, I'm not a good person if
You were beating yourself up.
Yeah, I was really beating myself up. I got myself into this situation. I made my bed. I need to lie in
fix
it.
this. And, yeah.
And sometimes you just have to recognize that you've done enough. You're not always the problem, and you need to walk away from something that's not going to fix itself.
Nice.
Yeah, especially when you're not the whole problem or even just a part of it.
Right.
You know, and you got to have that courage. So kudos to you. Kudos to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Your PDF workbook for women who want a better life. Now, what is that about?
So another one of the songs on the album that I wrote with Craig is called Straight Into Mine. And it was the first song we wrote together. First song I ever wrote in Nashville, actually. I get there and I'm thinking, wow, I got a meeting with this guy named Craig. This is great. He's going to tell me how good my songs are.
No.
And we're going to have a great time. And then we're going to go have drinks and it's going to be awesome. Well, I get there and I play my songs and he says, your songs are good. Would you like some feedback? And I was like, Tell me more about how they're good.
Yeah.
And no, I'm just kidding. I said, of course I want feedback. And he said, look, your songs are really good. They're really catchy. You definitely have a way with words and melodies. But I feel like you need to write some more songs about your life, about, you. Be vulnerable, be honest with your listeners. I think that your listeners are craving your story. And he said, you're a good storyteller, but let's hear about you. And I was like, that sounds hard and vulnerable, and I don't like it.
Cal, gonna take me away. I don't want to do all that.
Yeah. So he said, let's talk about your divorce.
Both those subjects are hard.
Right.
They're both hard to tromp through.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Straight Into Mine was the song that was really about, breaking out of this sort of abusive environment and it's really about starting your own life. It's kind of an empowerment sort of anthem. It's all about wearing heels on a Friday night when somebody didn't let you before, wearing makeup for you, not for, some man or to impress men or whatever. It's all for you.
It's beautiful for you.
Yeah. And so that's what the song is about. And I wrote a little workbook afterwards called Mine. And it is just a way for people who are ready to sort of take control of their own life and walk into something new.
This is something people can download on your website. It's
something you can download. Yeah, you can go to my website
and get together and have coffee and read it amongst your friends.
Right.
Yeah. Relate to it.
Is it free?
It's free.
Oh, wow.
You just have to sign up for
How
my
many
email
pages?
list.
We didn't know we had an author today.
I know, right?
That's awesome.
I don't know. It's like 20, something like that.
That's a lot, though. I mean,
that's great.
If you're spilling the beans, man, that's a lot
putting
to
it
get
out there.
It's me. I'm writing about my experiences, and then I give space for them to do exercises and work through some of those things that I did.
What's the feedback on that so far?
People really like it. So
I bet.
My sister, actually, she was working through it, and she kept taking pictures of, she had printed it out, and she was sitting at the kitchen table, and she had written all this stuff, and she had highlighters and circles and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, nice.
And she kept sending me pictures. She's like, this is great. I'm really learning a lot about myself.
I tell you what, though, and I don't even know this, but it'd be cool is the very last page a target, like a dartboard you can put on that. Yeah.
That's a good idea. I should add that.
You should. And if all else fails, put this on the wall and throw darts at it.
Yes. I mean, that's therapeutic.
I love that. I think absolutely both the writing the lyrics, I'm sure, to the many of these songs empowered you to, get out on your own, basically.
To feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang it right there on your sleeve and just let it go. Kudos. Okay, so Robert, why don't you hit that next one real quick?
Yeah, I will. And for those of you just joining us, we're in the studio here at Kansas City Limits with our good friend Emma Jo, spilling the beans about being vulnerable and music and the world we live in. Tell us a story about Girl Bandit. And this is probably before your time, but there was a stupid movie back in the early 80s called Time Bandit. So, you'll have to check that out. Anyway, tell us about Girl Bandit, because those of you that cannot see her, she is decked out with these killer boots that match her hat and this fringed jacket. She looks right out of a girl bandit of some sort. So tell us more about that.
So a girl bandit is this fantasy that I had back when I was still married. And I felt like I was sort of trapped in this world where I couldn't do a lot of the things I wanted to do. And I used to watch a lot of Westerns. And
no kidding.
Yeah. And I was sort of inspired by, even though all the women in these Westerns were sort of put into one of like 3 stereotypical ways of being a woman, sometimes there would be like the bad evil woman who was like
the bad bandit,
like she was stealing money from men or something. And I thought that was the coolest thing. I was like, yes.
To take it. Like Lady Gaga.
Right.
Yes.
So she was like, she was always really sexy and beautiful, and she had this sort of power that men didn't really understand in the movies and in the TV shows. And that was so appealing to me at a time when my world was all about walking on eggshells and I can't go anywhere and I really feel like I can't do what I want to do. And so this idea of a girl bandit was very appealing to me.
Cool.
And so the song is kind of funny. It's kind of cute. And it's very Western inspired. But also it's really, I think, kind of empowering and just sort of a call to action, like for women. A girl bandit is someone who can sit at the poker table or, in many of our cases, a classroom or a boardroom and look straight in the face of men who are talking down to you, men who, don't really understand that you have power, and you're using your power to sort of put it back on them. And so that's what a girl bandit is. And
I love it. Isn't that the same gal that's on Yellowstone?
Right.
Jeez, she's a strong girl bandit. Well, I got to ask, so you opened the door there for you're a fan of old Westerns. Give me some of the old Westerns you like.
Yes. Do you have any famous old Western lines you like to use, to put people in their place? Like,
just tell us the old Westerns you like. You don't have to give us that.
That's a great question. Well, so when I was growing up, my grandpa would watch Gunsmoke a lot.
Right.
And so I was always a big fan of
That
Miss
is
Kitty,
an old Western.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Now they call it Smoking Gun.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
But yeah, I liked a lot of those old, the John Waynes and all that. Again, there were so many stereotypes and things that I don't necessarily agree with, but the sounds and the sights of it sort of gets into your psyche, especially if you happen.
Did you ever see Clint Eastwood and 2 Mules for Sister Sarah?
I don't think I saw that one.
Watch that one.
Okay.
We need to have a Clint Eastwood
a woman in there that is you will absolutely love.
Okay,
yes.
I love it.
Yes.
All right, I'm ready. I'm
Try
gonna watch
fistful
it.
of dollars.
Okay.
No, there's no women. All right.
It's not about all that. Yeah.
Moving on. So Girl Bandit, I love it. And that is something on the new album, Girl
Yes,
Bandit?
That is on the album, and it's the, of course, title track.
Girl Bandit, that's right. I got it. Okay, so wanted to make
Girl
that.
Bandit. Listen, I'm going to put this in perspective for all you just tuning in. If some woman's just going along the flow and being nice and listening to everything you have to say, the Girl Bandit will use it against you. Do you understand this? She will use it against you. Let's talk about your songwriting. You said it had flowed from Kansas City and Nashville. You made kind of like a stellar musical connection, merging this into your album.
Yeah.
Now, I got to ask you the same question I've asked a lot of people that's been on our program. Kansas City seems to be this just kind of warming up to original artists. The cover bands, they like something the norm. You go to Nashville, you do original music, you're a god. You go to New York, Albany, Georgia, whatever. We're just received differently here with original music than other places, but that hasn't kept you from wanting to put out original music. What do you think is going to be the tie-in with your original music and your set list? Is it going to be a combination of the covers and your originals, like when you get out rolling, or do you just want to really focus on the original stuff? And how has your songwriting changed?
So my shows are usually about 50-50 or sometimes more originals. I love playing covers, and it's not because, well, I'll tell you why I love playing covers.
Tell us.
It's the same reason why I love playing my originals, because my shows are all about the audience and the connection that I can stand up and make with the people in front of me.
Right on.
And I think that's because I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan. And I just grew up with this idea of what a live performance should be like. It should be a connection between the performer and the audience. Not just that, but a connection between the audience members amongst themselves and creating sort of a community. And so that is how I approach performing. And when I play covers, it's because I think it's in furtherance of that ideal of creating that community. And so, yes, at my shows, we play These Boots Are Made for Walking right before I play my song, Walk.
Right.
So it's always that 1-2 punch
Cool.
of, just that really cool girl power, gets all the girls on the dance floor. And we sort of have a moment where I get down on the dance floor with them and we're all dancing together. And it's all about making that connection. So
and you'll introduce the songs and you'll
Yes.
get them prepped like Bruce Springsteen, who is one of the all-time storytellers. And
Yeah.
that was one of the things, he always would announce his songs. He would always say something about where that came from, how it came about, right? And now a lot of people do it, but yeah, that's what happens. So you're connecting with them and you're letting them know where and how that came to be.
Yeah, I'm letting them into my world as a songwriter and as a performer. And I'm hoping that they let me into their worlds, that they take my record home, and that record becomes part of the fabric of their, life moving
Of
forward.
their library, yeah.
Yeah.
They remember.
I do want to say something. You weren't in the studio here if you're listening, but when you said the word Bruce Springsteen, your right eye sparkled.
That doesn't surprise
So
me.
did mine.
It was great. It was like when you said it, I was like, this is magical, man.
I've seen him, I think, 14 or 15 times now.
Okay.
Last time was I actually saw him for the first time in New Jersey this year.
Oh, wow.
And so I made the pilgrimage to our Mecca of us Bruce Springsteen fans. So I went to Bruce Springsteen's home state and I saw him.
Did you see him here this year?
I didn't, because I was out of town. So I made up for it by going to New Jersey. And then I also saw him in London. So
I've seen him several times. And I'm going to tell you that at 75 years old, the man did more on stage than anybody I've ever seen that is in their 40s.
Yeah.
He jumps, he runs around, he's shadow boxing. He did trip and fall, but
Everyone has
He
to
is
trip
old.
and fall.
yeah. But oh my God, it was just, and it was all cover, all the stuff that he had ever done. I mean, and I don't know, 3 or 4 covers.
Yeah.
So, because he wants to give tribute to those, that he likes. As
Yeah,
well, so.
the ones he's been inspired by.
Yeah.
Yes.
In
Great
1986, I bought Born in the USA from my sister Elena. And, he's got your back, he's got those jeans on. He's got the handkerchief in there, And I remember my dad, not knowing who Bruce Springsteen was. He said, "Who's this artist just showing his ass to the world?" I said, "Dad, that's Bruce Springsteen, Dad." So anyway, I gave that to my
That's
sister
amazing.
one year for Christmas. So that's cool that of the songwriters you could select to want to follow or check out. Man, what a great choice, because he is a storyteller, like Jay was saying, and he has lived through a lot of things. I was watching something on 60 Minutes when he was talking about The Ghost and the Lonely, and he wrote that in a hotel in Nebraska, and he just hadn't had a hit for a while, But having him crawl out and write that out and tell his story about that, and then it went somewhere so inspiring. You're at the end of your ropes, and you think, is this all I had to give? And then something comes out of you that's raw, that has nothing to do with anything else. I think that's what the world's waiting for, is something raw and real, like your producer guy, the late Chris that you were talking about. He said, make yourself vulnerable and put yourself out there, because that's what other people don't do every day.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that especially, like I said, in this world we now have this shiny world of social media, and everyone is craving authenticity. It's just, that's all we all want out of other people. When I went to Nashville, the first time I thought, wow, everyone is good here.
Yes.
How does anyone stand out? How does anyone make it anywhere? Because everyone is so talented. Everyone is so, put together. They have everything. They have the full package, every single person that you see. And so and
they've been dreaming their whole life to get there
right.
too.
And so I started wondering, well, how does anyone stand out? And the answer is just that if you're yourself, if you are authentic, that is going to get you farther than anything else. It's going to get you farther than singing better than somebody else. It's going to get you farther than looking better than somebody else. Your authenticity is what people will respond to more than anything.
Well said.
They'll feel you.
That's nice. Okay, folks, we're again in the studio today with Emma Jo. Emma Jo can be found everywhere. You can buy her new up-and-coming album at emmajomusic.com. On the website, you have a pre-order. She's also on Instagram at Vox, V-O-X, Princess. Vox Princess, nice. And TikTok is also Vox Princess. Facebook is Emma Jo Rocks. Now, I got to ask, what's Vox?
Yeah,
V-O-X?
what the heck is that? Is that a Maybelline product?
That's amazing. Okay, so one thing I haven't told you guys yet about myself is that I actually have a history degree. I have
very cool
2 history degrees. I have a master's degree in history.
Tell us some history, man. Lay it on us.
And when I made that handle, Vox Princess, I was a teenager. I've had that handle forever.
Sure.
And it's kind of embarrassing now.
You're not that old, so it hasn't been forever.
Vox.
I sort of want to change it, but now it's kind of stuck. But I picked that because Vox is Latin for voice, and I was the singer of the rock band, and so I was like, oh, I'm the Vox Princess. I thought it was really cute.
Oh.
Now it's kind of dorky.
Well, now you got to stick with it because you've had it for so long, and it made us ask. So, okay. Again, we're back to the studio with Emma Jo. Did you really write a love song to Kansas City?
I did.
Did Kansas City call you back?
So far, no.
And which mayor would that be?
Yeah, hey lady, I'm married.
Maybe it's going to be Kelsey that will reply to that love song.
Tell us what inspired that.
So Kansas City, so the song is called Kansas City in the Autumn Time. And it's inspired by the fact that Kansas City has changed so much.
Whole bunch.
I remember when I was moving a few years ago, I was moving downtown and I was looking for an apartment, and I called my mom and I was kind of talking with her about it. And, I gave her the location, some of the locations I was looking at, and she hasn't lived in town for a good 20 years. And she said, oh, that's a bad part of town. Oh, that's a bad part of town. She kept saying that. And I was like, Mom, they're not all bad parts of town. What are you talking about? And I would.
Where was she looking at? Like the Grubhub
Where
reports?
was she at when she lived here?
So I grew up in Belton.
Oh, okay.
And so we were still outside of town. But
where Soundworks is located. Go ahead.
It is not.
Oh, no, Blue Springs. I'm so sorry.
I was like, what?
I thought you said, go ahead.
Yeah.
Scratch all that, Andy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So much for the plug there, Andy.
Open up another office over there. Good.
I grew up in Belton. But my mom, she had this idea about what Kansas City was, and certain areas were dangerous or they were, bad parts of town. And I was like, Mom, you really haven't been downtown in a while, have you? Because downtown is really different.
Vibrant.
It's vibrant and so much cool stuff going on. And with the resurgence of the Royals in 2014, 2015, and then, the Chiefs being so good now, you just really feel the spirit of Kansas City kind of coming alive. And the song is about that, the change of Kansas City. I'm going to sing it for you later.
We're excited to hear that.
I can hardly wait.
And it's cool, honestly, that you're paying homage to your roots with a song. When you go away from here and you make it big and people hear that song, it's going to put us back on the map.
I'm hoping.
The water rises all boats. So that's awesome.
Well,
yes.
and your mom will know a little more too.
Yeah.
She'll go, that's my daughter singing about Kansas City people.
Yeah. And now it's gotten better.
Yeah.
Okay. What was it like playing in Japan? That sounds fun.
That's far away from Kansas City.
That was very far away from me. And I played that song in Japan.
Nice.
Oh, wow. And how did you get there? Like, what was that journey about, like, scheduling wise and stuff?
It is. So we flew from Kansas City to LA.
Who's
and
we?
then me and my fiance, Josh.
Josh.
We flew from LA to Tokyo. And is that right? No, I think we flew to Singapore and then to Tokyo. At any rate, it was a long, long, long flight.
I bet.
You have to sleep on the flight. It's a long time. But it's worth it. However, when you go to Japan, you really need to make sure that you go for more than a week because it takes about a week to get your body on schedule.
Sure.
It is just, the first night, went out to a little bar district called Golden Gai.
Yeah.
It's this cool little district in Tokyo that was untouched by World War II. And so it's very, it's got that kind of old Japan feeling. And it is like bar on top of bar on top of bar. And they're all really tiny. So like when you walk in, everyone scoots over a seat so you can sit down.
The guy in the very end has to leave.
Yeah, exactly. It's super fun. But it was easy for me to stay out until 6 a.m. because it felt like 5 p.m.
What?
to me. It was just so easy. It felt so early.
Sure.
And then you could go eat sushi at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I called a booking agent in Japan and I got some shows scheduled and playing.
What was the lead up there? How did you get involved in even wanting to play?
You just were going to travel there and
I
said,
knew I
I'm
was
going to book
traveling
myself
there.
a little tour there.
Yep. And so I
Yeah.
said, sometimes you got to take the bull by the horns and
make it.
So I did. And I thought I would like to play in Japan. How do I make that happen? And then I went to Google University and I found out how to make that happen. And so I booked a few shows and, in many cases got top billing. Emma Jo from America.
From America.
And I was playing with all sorts of different bands that were amazing. But one thing I learned right away on the first day was the audiences in Japan are very polite.
Very.
Very. They're quiet. They listen to your songs and they applaud after the songs. But the problem is you have to tell them when your song is over because they're so polite that they're waiting. And so
clap.
So you have to say like, thank you to let them know, you're finished with the song.
Unplug the guitar and put it in the rack.
So as a result of this, the Japanese artists that I was playing with, that I'd see their sets too, they have developed these false endings to their songs because they realize, the audience is so polite, they're not going to start clapping prematurely.
So they have like little pauses that start?
Right. So it's like they'll have the song and it kind of seems like it's over. And then they'll pause and there'll be this dramatic pause, silence, and then they'll go back into the song. And you're like, okay, I see what you did there.
Psych.
Wow. Take a bow.
Right.
Emma Jo, you're so tall. You could have said you're like American blonde-haired gazelle. What am I trying to say? Godzilla coming over.
Godzilla, yes, exactly.
You must have just towered over these people the entire time you're there as well, and they dig that.
For sure.
They dig that.
They do. They dig tall Americans.
I'm going.
It's interesting.
They're going to love you.
Because, I'm much taller than the average person. Obviously, I'm blonde, and I also dress in bright colors.
Yes.
I dress in bright pink most of the time.
That's huge.
And you're wearing the cowboy. They love the cowboy motif in Japan. They do.
And everything in Japan, like there are so many bars and restaurants and things with themes. And so sometimes you can even find stuff where it's like, there's a Texas themed bar, or whatever. You never know what you're going to find. Tokyo has something for everybody. But yeah, I would notice that little kids would stare at me like just glued because they were like, what is this tall blonde
American?
American woman wearing pink boots and a whole pink outfit.
And what is she even saying?
Everyone else is
They
wearing
could
black.
live in one of your boots. They could live in one of your boots. So like that's one in an apartment right there.
It was fun though,
But
man.
a good experience.
Yeah, really amazing.
And will you go back?
Of course I will.
Nice.
I definitely
Are
want
they
to.
asking you to come back?
I mean,
Any of the spots that you played?
The booking agent that I worked with before, I've already been back in touch with him, and he said he can get me back into my favorite club that I played there was called the Crocodile.
Okay.
Backstage, and everything was written in English, which is so funny. But backstage, in the green room, musicians since before I was born had been writing, the date that they played there and stuff, which was really cool. It was like, just an old rock club.
That goes to your history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just love that kind of stuff. So I was like, ooh, this room is full of music history.
Yeah. That's fun. That is so fun. What a great experience for you.
And so you were there about a week, and how many gigs did you have while you were there?
I was there for 2 weeks, and I did
2
all
weeks.
my gigs in the second half because of the jet lag. So I did 5, I think. And
Did somebody prime you or get you ready, tell you you probably ought to wait before you start doing gigs?
Yes. The guy that did all the booking for me, he told me, it's probably best if you give it some time, as much as you can anyway.
Yeah.
Everyone has different times that they can be there. But I waited as long as I could so that I could let myself adjust. It's hard.
Yeah.
But,
It has been a pleasure to have you in the studio. All right. Well, why don't you tell us if you've got...
Talk about Knuckleheads thing.
Well, besides the Knuckleheads, you got anything else coming up through the holidays, November, December, any of that?
I'm going to be trying to book some out-of-town gigs. So my release party will be the last time you can catch me in Kansas City for a little while. Because I'm going to
November 10th.
I'm going to try to book a little tour after the album comes out, just to kind of, support the album. But the biggest thing that I want people to know about is that when the album comes out on Friday, November 10th, my band and I will be performing at Knuckleheads. We're on the saloon stage. The show starts at 7:30, and we're going to kick things off with Timbers. They're another local Americana band. And then we've got Lorna Kay's Country Club. She's going to finish out the night with a lot of classic country tunes, and we're going to play the whole album front to back.
Wow.
It's going to be a good party, and I'm excited. Thank you to Knuckleheads, too, by the way, for having us.
Thanks, Frank.
This is going to be so cool. Everyone I know has said, heck, I love Knuckleheads.
Is that your first time playing there?
I've played the Gospel Lounge before, but it's my first time playing
this
the
first
saloon.
time doing your gig.
Yeah. So it's going to be really fun, and all my family and friends, they're all like, "Wow, now I get to see Emma Joe Knuckleheads. That's great." So
yeah,
part of your song about loving Kansas City, that's how I feel about Frank.
Exactly.
He helps Kansas City.
He really does
in a lot of regards. So, what's on your shirt? I got to ask you, what's it say?
It says T for Texas.
T for Texas. There we go.
Big Jimmy Rogers fan. Way back to the beginning of country music. T for Texas, T for Tennessee.
T for Timbuktu.
And Tokyo.
And Tokyo. Rock and roll.
All right, Robert, take us out of here.
Remember, be good to yourself, be good to others, and be good to musicians. We'll see you next time on Kansas City Limits Radio.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, this is my love song to Kansas City. This is called Kansas City in the Autumn Time. Kansas City in the autumn time, fiery colors got me feeling fine. You can feel it on ground and on the vine. Kansas City in the autumn time. Well, it's been so many years since you left me standing on Main. After all this time, honey, you'd be surprised how much this city and I have changed. Where there once was darkness, baby, now there's light. Don't you come back for me, but you really ought to see Kansas City these days at night. Kansas City in the autumn time. Fiery colors got me feeling fine. You can feel it on ground and on the vine. Kansas City in the autumn time. Well, I heard you've been lonely, oh, summer long. Maybe you're just tired, and maybe it's time to come home. The boys are in blue, and the boys are in red. You ought to hear the cheer. Don't you come back for me, but you really ought to see Kansas City this time of year. Kansas City in the autumn time. Fiery colors got me feeling fine, yeah. You can feel it on ground and on the vine. Kansas City in the autumn time. Have you seen the fountain waters reflect warm sunset light? Have you smelled the sweet smoke in the air? To see you back in town would really be quite a sight. With everything changing everywhere, Kansas City in the autumn time. Fiery colors got me feeling fine, yeah. You can feel it on ground and on the vine. Kansas City in the autumn time. Kansas City in the autumn time. Fiery colors got me feeling fine, yeah. You can feel it on ground and on the vine. Kansas City in the autumn time. Ooh, yeah. All right, this song is called Walk. Guess I got burned enough, I couldn't stand the heat. He knocked me down so much I couldn't find my feet. It took my mama saying, girl, we gotta talk. When things get bad, you know that you can go ahead and walk. First step, don't let someone hold you back. Step two, remember who you really are in there. You're badass, a little bit of sass, like a shot in a champagne glass. Dirty boots or high heel shoes, don't matter what you wear, just that. You're superwoman, gonna prove you're stronger than you thought. When things get bad, you know that you can go ahead and walk. Go ahead and walk. I still have days when I'm stumbling through life. I know the road is long and it's gonna take some time, but time is gonna pass and you can't stop the clock. When things get bad, you know that you can go ahead and walk. First step, don't let someone hold you back. Step two, remember who you really are in there. You're badass, a little bit of sass, like a shot in a champagne glass. Dirty boots or high heel shoes, don't matter what you wear, just that. You're superwoman, gonna prove you're stronger than you thought. When things get bad, you know that you can go ahead and walk. Go ahead and walk. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, badass. A little bit of sass like a shot in a champagne glass. Dirty boots or high heel shoes, don't matter what you wear, just that. First step, don't let someone hold you thick. Step two, remember who you really are, and there you're badass. A little bit of sass like a shot in a champagne glass. Dirty boots or high heel shoes, don't matter what you wear, just that. You're superwoman, gonna prove you're stronger than you thought. When things get bad, you know that you can go ahead and walk. Go ahead and walk. Go ahead and walk. Ow!
Oh my gosh!
I lost it.
That is the one. That is one right there. Oh my.